It's that time in this video for us to discuss multiple streams of income. Good day, Sammy ICanWin here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about multiple streams of income for your property revenue. Now, if you are anywhere in the 21st century and beyond, you would have heard of this term, multiple streams of income, which is banded all around the internet, mainstream media, books, literature, etc. And maybe you've said to yourself a few times, I want to make some multiple streams of income. I remember the first time I ever heard about multiple streams of income, it was literally from my dad. And this was a number of years ago. I must have been studying probably in my first year of university. And my dad began to share with me about the ideas of multiple streams of income. And I remember thinking to myself, hold on a minute, if I could make multiple streams of income, I'd be able to literally buy anything I want, anytime I want. But on a deeper note, there were actually things inside of me that were really interesting in this concept of multiple streams of income. Not just being able to have the power to buy whatever you want, whenever you want, but actually being able to live on my own terms, being able to go where I want, when I want, being able to have access to certain scenarios, certain situations, and certain scenes in life which I desire to have access to. Now, the reality is, as a young man at that time, I was thinking about my future, getting married, having a house, all of that stuff. So the multiple streams of income idea really played hard on my mind. Now, the challenge was when my dad spoke to me about multiple streams of income, I had absolutely no idea of how I was going to be able to achieve that. There were so many barriers in front of me, namely the fact that all of my time was invested in my university degree. Secondarily, that I was working part-time. So my second use of time was all invested in my JOB. And many of you have heard me quote Dr. Myron Golden, who calls the JOB the jump out of bed to get on the journey of the broke. And as Robert Kiyosaki says, so you can stay just over broke. So those were some of the things that were literally standing in my way, slowing me down and stopping me from being able to tap into multiple streams of income. And it was around that time that I started to think about all of these specific barriers that I thought came into my head. And that thought was, most people who think they're going to make multiple streams of income are not actually going to make multiple streams of income. And that thought was, for most people, they'd say a negative thought, but that thought really woke me up. It really started to help me understand that multiple streams of income, as most people see it, is not actually multiple streams of income as most people have it. You see, the people that actually tap into multiple streams of income, we understand something that many other people do not understand. And that is, multiple streams of income does not mean multiple streams of income in multiple different arenas. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to be able to tap into multiple revenue sources, but understanding that multiple streams of income is not just what it looks like from what people say on the tin. You see, what I started to understand is that multiple streams of income isn't me making money from cryptocurrency and me making money also from property and me making money from the national lottery and me making money from a JOB. It wasn't anything like that. It was my awakening that the best way to tap into multiple streams of income is to tap into multiple revenue sources in one industry. Now, I don't know about you, but I have seen people do this again and again. We have Richard Branson, who has done this through means of tapping into one industry and literally releasing his tentacles into every arena of that industry to generate revenue. We saw that with his record business and how that developed and blossomed into allowing him to then jump into cola and jump into airlines and jump into all of these other industries as well. We also see this with Elon Musk, who's literally one of the richest men in the world at the time of this recording, who's done the exact same thing, jumped into one industry and allowed his tentacles to literally tap into multiple revenue sources in the same industry. Now, I'm using this term tentacles not to be degrading, but literally to give you a word picture so you see exactly how I see multiple revenue sources in one industry. I literally see it in a sense that I call the Octopus Method. Now, the octopus, as many of us know, literally swims in one sea. It doesn't jump from one sea to another sea and another river and another lake. It stays in one industry, but it has its 8 legs, arms, whatever you want to call them, and its tentacles all support the main body of what the octopus is attempting to do. Now, the reason this is so powerful is because when I started to realize that I didn't want to make multiple streams of income in multiple different markets, it started to help me start to devise a plan. And this is the plan I'm going to outline for you in order for you to be able to construct the exact kind of revenue for yourself as well. You see, I started realizing that the learning curve is very, very steep for every new industry. And if you are going to go into the learning curve again and again and again, what happens is you lose momentum. And if you lose momentum because you've just spent 100,000 hours learning property investment, and now you're going to start from hour zero learning cryptocurrency, I'm just going to show you right now, you are not going to build as substantial a revenue as if you got laser focused in one industry and maximize the multiple sources of revenue you can make in that singular industry. So a question you might be asking right now is, well, Samuel, how do I make multiple sources of money in my one industry? And I'm so glad you asked, because now I'm going to break it down. The way that we've been able to do that, and the way I've seen many other people do that, the way I've taught my students and coaching clients to do that, and the way I'm going to share with you to do that is very, very simple. The first thing to do is focus on your main revenue arm. Now, if you're someone doing strategies like rent to rent, you're not owning properties, you're controlling those properties, and you're generating a monthly revenue from those properties, that might be your main revenue arm. If you're someone who's doing buy to let, so you're buying properties and you're literally generating your £150 or £300 per month per property, well, that's your main arm, okay? Now, you now subsidize that arm by additional arms. So let me give an example of one of the most powerful additional arms that I share with many of my clients. You see, every person in property has some form of a team. And those of you who don't have a team, you need to make sure you get a team, okay? Now, let's say your team consists of 3 people. Let's say it consists of a coach. Let's say it consists of a mortgage broker. And let's say it consists of a solicitor. So you've got 3 people in your team. Now, those of you who have joined our cash flow creation challenge in the past, you will know that I literally outlined the minimum 4 members you should have in your team in our 5-day challenge. So if you haven't seen that content or you're not aware of that, look for a link for the 5-day cash flow creation challenge in the description of this video. Now, for those of you who have the team as scarcely as I've just described, those 3 members, a coach, a solicitor, and a mortgage broker, you can go to each of those team members and ask them to have an agreement with you, which is known as an introducer's agreement. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time, an introducer's agreement. Now, why might you want to have an introducer's agreement? I'm so glad you asked. The reason why is because once you have an introducer's agreement with your mortgage broker, every single time someone approaches you and says, hey, Samuel, you're doing great in property, I'd love to talk to a mortgage broker. Do you know any that you could recommend? You now have the ability to introduce your mortgage broker who's a part of your team. And what will happen if you've signed an introducer's agreement with a fee, a remuneration fee, is you would generate an income. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment. Imagine if once a month, you introduced a new person to your mortgage broker and that alone gave you an extra £100. Now, if you're someone who's doing buy to let property, making £200 per month per property, you've literally just added another 50% of revenue from a property by an introduction. Now, I want you to think about how you could maximize that specific model. Now, if you've got a coach you're working with, and let's say you're paying that coach £5,000 a month, and even at £5,000 a month paying that coach, if there was an introducer agreement where you would make 20% of any introductions, and you introduced a colleague of yours or a friend of yours who needed a property coach, and they started paying the same £5,000 per month, you would now be netting one extra £1,000 a month. And now look at the solicitor's predicament, exactly the same. Let's say if every time you introduced someone to your solicitor you're using anyway, you were able to generate an extra £100 per month. Now, just breaking this down with the maths that I'm literally making up in this video, I want you to understand that you potentially could be netting an additional £1,200 per month just from one monthly recommendation to your contacts in your community. Now, the reason why this is so powerful is because once you start to build that arm or those tentacles and you add that to your existing main focused stream of revenue, you now start to understand how to multiply your money by making multiple revenue streams, which people call multiple streams of income. Now, I'm going to share something with you to be very, very transparent. Some of you are still going to find this difficult. And the reason why some of you are still going to find this difficult is because you're going to be saying to yourself, Samuel, I don't have a team. Or you're going to be saying to yourself, Samuel, I don't know how to structure an introducer's agreement. Now, if you're someone in that predicament, I want you to jump into the comments below and let us know whatever challenge you think you are going to face. And what we will help you do in the comments is literally share with you how you can overcome any challenge that you guys throw in the comments of this video. Now, if you've liked this video and you've got value, feel free to hit the like button. This video is part of our series, which is literally teaching people how to become financially free. So if this has been of value to you, feel free to share this video with your contacts and your community, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.